Hello and welcome to the Zonk Dinosaurs presentation of Finding Theodore by Leah Phelps, Kenneth Motzinger, and Joshua Shivak. We have decided to make a puzzle platformer where the player must travel through multiple and vibrant environments, finding allies that give you unique abilities and pieces to a final riddle which finishes the game. We have decided to use a simple 2.5D style of graphics visualization, where the camera pans with the player in the X ranges and the Y ranges, but only within the world's values. A couple of games that present this are Yarn Yoshi and Kirby Triple Threat. The actions we've laid out for this game are typical of a puzzle platformer. The first is directional movement, usually with the left and right axis in a game or the DNA keys. Next is jumping, usually with a space bar. This is great for vaulting over obstacles. Then there's double jumping, which is just under a double jump scale. Then we have pushing and pulling, where the player can latch onto an object that can be moved, and push it or pull it in a horizontal axis. Lastly, we have the ability to collect our allies as well as other collectibles in the level, most important of which are the riddles we will use to finish our game. In playing our game, the player must begin by moving through a short starter area to find the point where they must submit the final riddle. Here they will receive a hint on where to find the first ally. They will then have to platform their way through the level to where this ally is, and then using the special ability granted to the player while they are guiding that ally, platform their way back through the level, avoiding enemies along the way to give them a point of progression. After they successfully escort the ally to that point, the ally will give them a piece of the answer to the riddle to progress, and the next hint to find their next ally. They then repeat this process until they found all of the allies in the level, at which point the answer to the riddle will allow them to progress to the next level or finish the game. There are only a few simple rules in this game. First, you cannot jump while leading a standard NPC, although some NPCs may give you the ability to jump while holding onto them. Second, you must lead every NPC to the exit to complete the riddle. This is because each NPC gives you piece by piece the answer to complete the game. Also, every NPC provides the player with the piece. There will not be an NPC that doesn't do anything but get led to the exit. And each NPC will give the player a special ability. The only anti-force we've decided to include in our game is an enemy that can take the player's ally should the player choose to release the ally to make any individual movement. This means the player must correctly strategize the release of the ally when vaulting over obstacles. The player must make a few short decisions, which include whether to leave the NPC behind to complete part of the puzzle, or to decide whether the NPC is safe with the player, or whether the NPC can be stolen by an enemy. A strong reference we've used to tie our game up is Ico, where the player must lead a girl through platforming combat situations to the goal. This is strongly tied in with our theme, where the player must lead the NPCs to their goals in order to complete puzzles. Here is an example of gameplay, where the player will approach a progression point and be given a riddle to solve to find one of the NPCs in the level. They will platform their way to that NPC and retrieve them. They will then have to lead that NPC back through to the progression point and through the areas of danger, including traversing around several enemies placed throughout our levels. A huge risk that we might encounter is making the player controller so that it doesn't feel cumbersome when you're having to lead an NPC through the entire level after you've already completed it. A great fix for this would be making the NPC feel almost tied to the player, so that the player doesn't feel like they're just lugging around a big hunk behind them the entire time. The mechanics we've chosen can be tied to multiple different narratives, from things as simple as a mailman gathering parcels and delivering them, to an astronaut finding his way around a space station to gather tools for the leader. But the theme we've decided to go for is a little girl looking for her teddy bear, but she must find her other toys to give her hints in order to find the final bear. Thanks for watching our presentation of Finding Theodore by the group Zonk Dinosaurs.